All right, it is day 16, I believe. 15 or 16? 16, okay, yeah, 16 of our ongoing 31 days of horror/Halloween festivities. As you can tell, things are a little bit different because I'm actually driving during the daytime. Therefore, putting a squash to all those rumors I'm like a vampire or something. But anyway, day 16, we're still in the 1980s, and our film is one of the less heralded trauma offerings. It's Class of Nuke High, and for those of you who have never seen it, I think you might actually be surprised by its content. I mean, it's still a through and through trauma movie. It's got the satire, it's got the puns, it's got all of the gratuitous sex and violence. It's all there. But the way it's kind of carried off, it's certainly one of the more serious in tone trauma movies. I mean, it still has the comedic elements, but by and large, it's a much more straightforward narrative than something like, you know, Toxic Avenger or Sergeant Kabuki Man. So anyway, pretty much a very standard plot line. It's very much like the Class of 1984, which is one of my favorite, you know, early superlative gangsploitation films from the era. You got Tromaville High. It's right next to a nuclear power plant, and there's a bunch of radioactive gas seeping in, and it's causing all sorts of really weird shenanigans to happen. And probably the big one is it's causing the kids to do really weird things, like it turned all the honor students to a bunch of sexual deviant gangbangers called the Cretans. And basically this running around the school, you know, causing havoc, doing a bunch of no good stuff, you know, kidnapping people, just basically making life miserable for everybody. And the movie centers around a couple. It's a dude and a girl, and the girl is like Virginal, and the guy, he's one of the standard like nice guys where he's not a jock, but he's not a nerd either. He's just kind of there. He's your everyman. So they kind of have like the love story subplot going on. And there's also like another subplot about them like smoking radioactive marijuana, which like gives them some sort of like weird like radioactive powers that's never like fully like gone into, but nonetheless it's a component of the movie. So yeah, basically you kind of know where this is headed. You got the kids, the girl gets kidnapped, double dragon style by the Cretans, and it's up to the one guy, her love interest, to go out and save her. And you know, look at this movie now. I mean, it's pretty tame, but you gotta think, you know, for 1986, this is some pretty heavy stuff. You had, you know, monster dongs, you had some lesbian activity. I mean, even the whole, you know, environmental angle, I think, was a little bit more abrasive back in the Reagan era than it is to today's audience. But all that to say, everything here is just put together in such an incredibly well done package. I mean, the effects are great, the storyline is very solid. I mean, the dialogue and acting is what you'd expect, but it's really decent, it's serviceable. And overall, I mean, it has that anti-nuclear energy message, but at the same time, it's not overly preachy. It still is intended to be an entertaining B-movie before it becomes an entertaining satire B-movie with a political message. So all that to say, I really enjoyed this one. This is certainly one of the better trauma offerings of the 1980s. I mean, it's not as good as The Toxic Avenger or Mother's Day, or especially Combat Shock, but it's still pretty good, and it's way better than, you know, the later Toxic Avenger sequels, and it's way better than the follow-up Class of Nuke High sequels. So if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's pretty good. I think I'm going to give this one a solid 3 pieces of candy corn out of 4. So it's very much worth going out of your way to visit. Oh, and best part of all, it's actually free on YouTube on the Trauma Movies page. So once again, I want to give props to Lloyd Kaufman for actually, you know, believing in freedom of information and freedom of proprietary property, I guess. That's not really the best term, proprietary. Well, I usually hear the term proprietary with technology, but just their IPs, their intellectual properties being put online for free. That's really admirable. So you have no excuse to not watch it. So you should go watch it now.